looks like Noda is going to be your winner of this Portuguese Grand Prix. Is your champion. JJ splits the middle, gets past both drivers. Season 8, Round 8, and we find ourselves at Portimao. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Round 8 here in Season 8 of FRL. Counting down the times until FRL is gone as a name, and we move our way over into pole position racing. Not too far off, and really still no clear indicator of who could be the champion here in this final round known as FRL. So you look at the results from Japan, and it puts Ignas 5 points ahead of the Ferrari of Graxent. Mercedes looking for that big win this season to try to set themselves ahead. Graxent wanting to continue to apply pressure and move forward and try to keep things going as much as he can to find himself forward. And really, it is a case of who knows what's going to happen. But all I can tell you is it's going to be great. So let's go ahead and jump to the nightmare scenario for the drivers. It is qualifying in Portimao, and it is pouring the rain. It is the full wets for Graxent, and that tells me this is going to be a long, interesting qualifying because Graxent immediately spins it going through turn 2. Or turn 3, sorry. Portimao is a little bit of a weird track there. So this should be very interesting to watch. Graxent, Myros, Juro, and Pujols Pujols is on intermediate tires, so we'll have to keep our eyes and see how Pujols gets along there in the Alfa Romeo. But all eyes sit on the Ferrari of Graxent today. This is the fairy tale story that we're looking for. Graxent here in the Ferrari. Ferrari currently sitting at 142 points in the championship, 164 points in the championship for Mercedes. Mercedes been just that much stronger through the season. Graxent currently sitting P2 behind Ignas, and then their teammates John Meister and Baron P5 and 6 between them. You've got Tazo and Jack. So this is the conversation. Mercedes versus Ferrari. It feels like we're back in the mid-2010s all over again on seeing what driver will be able to bring the championship home for their team. Debe says McLaren on podium today, and I would love to see that. As we sit currently, McLaren, Kushor in P19, and Graxent off into the gravel, or kitty litter, as some people know it. However, this should set us up for a very, very competitive qualifying session as we go through. Graxent down the line there, and that is going to be Pujols, who goes right past him here to go ahead and start a flying lap on the intermediate tires, which it seems like are working out pretty well for him here so far. Let's kind of watch on board here as he runs through the track and see how he holds it together here. Puhash running through the middle sector currently. Seems like he's pretty on board and kind of holding things together here, so not doing very bad at all. Watch, Puhash was purple through the middle sector. Very, very good to see. And now it's just these final couple of corners where he's just got to absolutely send it around, hold on to it as best he can. We'll see if the track dries up as the laps continue here. Of course, qualifying 18 minutes long. We could see things lighten up. Puhash 131.2. That's our first lap in. Graxent on the wets 134.4. Boomerbeck comes up, Jack comes up, and now who else will come through? Buchik comes through and looks very, very good as well. Mateusz, who is coming through the third sector. He's got several cars in front of him, one of them being the Mercedes of Ignas. Ignas comes across the line, and his time is not registering for me. Baran currently out of the final corner, so he has DNF. Let's check in on Debe here. Debe going through the first sector, just now starting a push lap here. Looking very, very good. Wasserschwein's through the middle. Who is the Red Bull there coming through the final sector? That is going to be Kashti coming out of the final corner, and you can see just off to the left, that is going to be the Ferrari of Baran, who absolutely punted it into the wall. Kashti starts us off with a provisional pole, 128.928. So we're continuing to improve slowly but surely here. And the intermediates has similar in time to the wets. Radislav Kepa was able to power around a 131. Kashti, very, very good race control there to hold on to the car and keep it on the track. Check it with Tazo here. Tazo's through the middle sector. Tazo is P3 in the Drivers' Championship and not that far behind at all from finding himself in a contention for the win this season. So we'll just kind of keep our eyes through and see who lands where as it goes. Because, hey, a couple bad races and it could be all she wrote. Graxent retiring out of the session there. And I don't know where he retired at. But interestingly enough, that is going to be a problem for him this weekend here as Tazo goes purple middle sector. So we're still seeing times improve as drivers go around here. 12 minutes left to go in qualifying. It looks like the rain has let up a little bit since where we started. Ignas 128.5. We knew Ignas would have a good lap in. However, Tazo did do that purple middle sector, so I think Tazo has a little bit more that he can give. Kind of get a little bit faster here as Tazo comes out. Both Ferraris will be starting back of the grid, whatever they do. Tazo, 128.483. So Tazo is able to find a little bit more time there himself to improve. We still have Juro, Mateusz, and Maku who still need to make their way through. Maku's out on the wet tires here, just now starting a lap. Mateusz is into the pits, and Juro is in the pits as well. Looks like a lot of drivers are going for multiple laps as well, so should be interesting as the track continues to improve. We'll see if there ever is a dry tire to hit the track. I don't think there will be, but would be interesting to see if there was. Ignas invalidating his lap there. So that is interesting from him. You got Jack coming back around. Is Jack going to improve on his lap time any? 128.569 does not. Improves maybe maybe a tenth or so there. Not a lot. Buchik's into the pits. Debe is spinning in the third sector there. McLaren Lawnmower Specials. On sale today via FRL. Join us on Discord to learn more. And Debe will be into the pits here. Wasserschwein coming through the middle sector. And now as Wasserschwein comes around, still looking really good going up the uphills and really, really looks comfortable there in that AlphaTauri from what I can tell with his car and how he's driving. Seems like he's wheeling it a little bit harder than it looked at first. TV cam always lies. Do watch here, Wasserschwein, you can see just kind of holding on to it best he can. Now we're going to come around the final couple of corners here. Tell you what, FRL, we have not been shy of rain this season at all. It has rained, I think, nearly every weekend except for one. Wasserschwein comes across P5, 128.6, so good improvements from him there. Tazo, purple, middle sector again. So continuing to improve here in P2. I have a feeling Cash G, Tazo, and Ignas are going to be our big three-way battle there for the pole position. And Tazo comes across the line, 127.2, a full second up on Cash G. So lap times are continuing to improve. 8 minutes, 45 seconds left to go here. Ignas is out on an out lap. Jack is continuing to push through to try to put another lap in here and see what he can come up with. Wasserschwein's invalidated his last lap. So Jack, is he on a push or is he on a cooldown? Ignas isn't too far behind him. They're starting a lap. Let's check in. Bimilito Gaucho, commentator's curse. Good timing right as the switch to him. He spins. That provides plenty of entertainment here on TV. And now as he runs through, he'll rejoin the track here after we see, I believe that is Mateusz going right on by. It is Mateusz, purple first sector. Now Mateusz running through here. Middle sector looking fairly decent as he goes through. He's invalidated his lap, but he still doesn't look like he's running half bad. Jack finds himself currently up into P2 with a 127.3. Pujols currently sitting in 4th place. Ignas has dropped down to 5th, but Ignas is just now starting a push lap, so I would imagine that would improve. Bimilito Gaucho has invalidated his lap. Buchik, I'm sorry, is running through first sector. Little bit wiggly there on the rear end of that Red Bull, but he's able to hold on to it and not have too many issues. Debe currently going through the first sector. So intermediate tires all the way around going through. We have lost 3 drivers in this qualifying session. Graxent, Baron, and Juro are the 3 we lost. We lost Graxent and Baron right at the beginning. Debe, purple first sector. Now this could get interesting as we go through. Let's check in here near the front of the field as drivers finish their laps here. Kashti is going to be coming across. Kashti will come across, and it's a 128.296. So still sticking P3 there. Pujols is going to come across the line. He jumps up ahead of Kashti. 127.615 with a purple third sector. Ignas will be the next driver to cross the line. And as Ignas crosses the line here, he'll come around final sector. And as he runs down, we'll see where Ignas lands himself with 6 minutes to go here in qualifying. Ignas, provisional pole, 126.3, 9/10 of a second up. Debe, of course, had that purple first sector, though, and he's coming around the final couple of corners now. We'll check in with him, see where he lands himself. And as Debe comes around the final corner here, he's going to be flat to the line. Debe will bring it in with a 127.5, good enough for 5th place at the moment. But Ignas nearly a second up on Buchik. That's a very, very strong time to come from him there. Tazo's on an outlap here. Pujols, who has hit the barrier there in the middle sector, lost his front wing. Radislav Kepa's running through. Mateusz, 126.296. Very impressive time coming from Mateusz out of nowhere. He hadn't put in a lap up till that point, and he puts in a 10th faster than Mateusz and almost a second faster than anyone else in the field other than Ignas. And Kashti has to go and beat that with a 125.828. Now that the rain is really slowing down, the drivers are really finding their stride, and it's making this a bit more comfortable for him. Maku's going to come across the line here. And Maku does not get a lap time in. I think he's just now starting a flying lap. A little bit more of a mix-up in the midfield there as Frantic moves his way up to P5. Marios is going to come across 126.8. Marios finds his way forward, so the rain slowing down right here at the end may really mix up the grid for us as we go. Pujosh's teammate Bimolino Gaucho, that's who I was trying to get with the camera. Coming around the final couple of corners here, we'll see if Bimolino is going to be able to improve. He's still on an outlap, though. Interesting, if you look at the time up top, I think he was still on an outlap. So I'll actually just keep our eyes on Bimolino and see if he improves anywhere. Maverick's up over a second from his best time so far as he's went through the first sector. Middle sector finds him 2.4 up. So that sets him up for about a mid-28 lap time, but I'm sure he'll find more time. So he should find himself here in the midfield as things go. And now Maverick coming around final corner, going to be up the hill, flat to the line. He improves only to a 128.7, 3 seconds up on his best time, but only good enough for P14 at the moment. While Ignas currently running around here, I don't think Ignas is on a second push lap, but I could be wrong here as we'll watch Ignas coming around final corner, flat to the line here. And it looks like Ignas puts in on a second push lap because I know how to read timing screens. Ignas is able to go 125.711, find himself up by a tenth of a second on Cashty, and put himself up in provisional pole with just over 2.5 minutes left to go. Tazo is currently out on an out lap as well, and we'll see how he can stick through. Maku's out on a lap. Roloski just now joining qualifying, just enough time if he can load in, get his setup, and have one push lap here. And now Maverick coming through here with the Red Bull behind. He gets out of the Red Bull's way. Very good decision there. And we'll check in Bimolino, who is up in the first sector through. Final sector again as we watch who's coming through. We've got Jack, who is coming through. And then, of course, Buchik, who is heading up the next little group of cars to go through and put in laps. Buchik comes across, stays P6 at the moment, and behind him, Maverick does stay in his place as well. Now we've got the Haas of Maku coming across the line. Maku very, very down on time right now. He had a spin in the middle sector, and now let's continue to watch as more drivers cross across. The McLaren of Debe is going to come up on the line here, and Debe will come across, still only good enough for P10. So now with a minute and a half left in qualifying, Ignas is coming around the final corner here. Tazo is coming across the line. Mateusz across the line. Ignas will be coming through right now. Ignas very down, so this will be Ignas' final attempt at securing and staying on pole with Cashty just a tenth of a second behind here. And everybody is out on track except for the three that we have lost. Graxent, Giro, and Baran. Watch here, Marios invalidating his lap there. So Marios, I believe his qualifying will be over at this point. No, he has one good lap in. Buchik will be coming across the line now to put in time, and Buchik will jump himself up. Good enough for P3 there. Behind him is Maverick. Maverick jumps P13. Frantic will be next across the line. Frantic still sitting P7. Another Red Bull coming across the line here. And that is going to be Cashty across the line to start time there. Maku comes across the line. Maku starting his final lap. Pujosh will find himself up into P10, improving just barely. Debe will come across the line here, starting a flying lap. And checkered flag falls now. Fastest lap right at the checkered flag belongs to Tazo. 125.3, Mateusz 125.6. So the Alpine boys find themselves 1 and 2 at the moment. Ignas is into the pits. Ignas has settled in for that P3. Radislav Kepa improves. Good enough for P7. Wasserschwein improves. Good enough for P6, pushing everyone down. Bimolino Gaucho is going to improve. So drivers are starting to come across the line here. I believe next car across the line will be Marios. And now as Marios comes around here, the final couple of corners, it does not look like he's going to have enough in the tank to improve here. So he is going to come through and 125.799. Don't listen to me. Your commentary doesn't know what he's doing. He's up into P4. Buchik comes across 4th place now, though. Knocks Marios down a position. Kashti, brand new intermediate tires coming around for the final time here. And is Kashti going to be able to yank pole position away? He does with a 124.823. So Kashti able to find himself up on the top spot of the grid. Maku still has to put in time. Maku comes across for P6. And then Jack Puhash will come across 8th place. Jack and Debe, final 2 drivers. Debe comes across 9th. And Jack, final driver. I did not see where he placed himself. But Kashti does hold on to that provisional pole. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be qualifying for round 8. Kashti, Tazo, Jack finds himself 2nd row of the grid. Next to Mateusz, Ignas, and Buchik will round the 3rd row of the grid. Maku, Marios, row 4. Puhash, Debe, row 5. Frantic, Wasserschwein, Bimolino, Radislav Kepa, Maverick, Graxent, Juro, and Baran will round out our grid with Rolowski not putting in a time. We are going to line up here on the grid, and it is going to be 5 red lights, and we will be underway here for this next round of FRL. And as we get away, Tazo is able to get ahead of Kashti very early on. Then you've got Jack, Buchik, Ignas coming through, and as we continue through, Tazo's ahead of Kashti. Kashti will stay ahead of Jack. Ignas down into 4th place. Buchik 5th. Buchik up in fighting with Ignas side by side. There's lots of side by side action all the way through the field here. And now Buchik going off the track there. A little bit cheeky of a move, if you ask me. But as he goes through, he'll sit into P5, and there's a little bit of contact potentially between Mateusz and Maku. But it looks like he's able to hold on to it. And now Ignas fighting his way against Jack. Trying to go for P3, able to get P3. I see medium tires on these 2 runners up here. I see a lot of medium tires all throughout the field. Mario's going a bit wide. Graxent is down into P13 early on. Or finding his way forward a little bit. Orlowski finding his way up into 15th place in the Mercedes, the sister car there to Ignas. As we continue, and now it's going to be Bimolino Gaucho in P16, Juro, Radislav Kepa, and Wasserschwein, 19th place. 19 cars through the field in that round. That comes through the rear of the field, and as we go through the final corners for the first time here of 33 laps around Portimao, Tazo is going to be holding on to the lead here with Kashti, Ignas, Jack, Buchik, Maku, Mateusz, Marios, Puhash, and Frantic being our top 10. Buchik is trying to find a move here against Jack. He's able to find the move. Jack falling out of position very quickly. Of course, Buchik on those soft tires. And now let's get the track map up. And let's look at our tires here. Right now, big winners and losers. Baran and Rolowski up 4 places. Graxent up 3. Wasserschwein losing out big time, down 7 places on the race start. Tazo and Kashti swap positions very early on, and you can see they're looking at swapping positions again. Tazo holding on there against Kashti. Buchik at 4th place has a 3-second time penalty. Little bit of a scary move there from Buchik and Kashti, but they're able to hold on to it. Buchik, of course, up 2 places. Jack has dropped those 2 places. Mateusz is down 3 at the moment, and these are very, very quick laps around Portimao. So hold on to your breath. It's going to be a very, very quick race. Now, looking at tires, big mix-ups through the field here. Our leaders are on mediums. Buchik is on softs. A couple more mediums. Mateusz, Marios, Puhash on hards. And then a lot of other people on hards. You can see 1 stop medium to hard, stop around lap 15. Or you can do a 2-stop soft, medium, medium if you're willing to take the risk. And some people are, Puhash, one of those drivers willing to take a risk. You can see the Alfa Romeo Lawnmower Special. Again, a FRL exclusive. You need to join the Discord to learn a bit more. Maku spinning out. Puhash disqualified from session. Very unusual to see that. DRS now enabled by race control, so this is when things will start to get interesting. A big unique thing about DRS is there's 2 DRS zones. There's one out of turn 3, turn 4, and then there is one down the main straight, and that is it here on this track. And watch this. This is going to be big for Cashy. Cashy, purple first sector. He's trying around the outside this time by. And he's not able to make it stick, but he's really, really wanting to make that stick as he runs around. And now, here we go. We can see again, he's trying outside turn to the inside as they come through. And he's holding on to it here. And here we go. Cashy finding his way back into the lead. Just barely, though. Tazo has a front wing in. And now as they go side by side, outside turns into inside once again. And that seems to be a special move for Cashy. A little bit of a switchback there from Tazo. Cashy's able to defend it. And there we go. Cashy finds his way back up into the lead of this race from where he started. Checking in with Ignas. Ignas is still sitting P3 at the moment. Buchik P4. So we see him come through there, and he is trying on those soft tires. He will be committed to a 2-stop strategy. He could potentially make a 1-stop work, but it would have to be a very, very long run. DRS enabled. You can see that is helping up big time for Ignas and Tazo. Ignas, big swerve there as he thought about a dive up the inside on Tazo. Not close enough to make it stick, though. And then that means Tazo can kind of hold on at the moment and chase down Cashy as he can. Cashy, a big snap there from the rear end coming out of the exit of turn 3 and 4. And here we go again, double dose there for Tazo and Ignas. Buchik back as well with a bit of DRS, trying to make a move stick. And as we continue to head down the back straight here, not a lot that they can do here but settle in and wait for a possible mistake. I know Tazo has a bit of pace there compared to Cashy. It's very, very impressive, the paces on those two, so they'll continue to kind of chase each other down and fight as they can. Lap 4 of 33. I told you this race was going to move fast. Now down the main straight, Tazo's gap 5.5 tenths here. Cashy, a fastest lap again. Can Tazo close this gap here? We'll ride on board here for just a minute. He gets the gap down to about 3 tenths, and behind him is Ignas by about half a second. So not enough there for Tazo to be able to catch up to Cashy, even though he's trying really hard to. DRS open again on the Mercedes here, but not close enough for a pass. Just able to kind of manage and maintain the gap and hold on there as best as he can. And again, remember, this is a big weekend for Ignas, Graxent, and Tazo, as Tazo is 34 points back from Ignas in the championship. Graxent 5 points back from Ignas. Ignas needs a big weekend. Graxent needs a very big weekend. And Graxent currently P9 there with his teammate Baran right behind him. 3.6 seconds back on Frantic, trying to chase down this front pack and these front group of cars here. And that is where the split is. That is going to be Mateusz that they just passed there. Mateusz spinning out there in the middle sector, losing a lot of time. You see a couple cars having to check up for him, but able to keep going here. And now Graxent, that's a free position for him. He needs to continue to catch up, and he's going to really be hoping for a safety car if he can afford one. Buchik now putting in fastest lap of the Grand Prix. And look at this front four. This front four battle is going to go on for a long time here, I can tell you, as they continue to chase through. Maverick dropping back a couple of places there against Rolowski and Maku. Rolowski now, Maku P11, Rolowski P12. Maku runs very, very wide there, lets Rolowski through, and now Maverick kind of had a second there to try to look through. Dave, 3-second time penalty for corner cutting as they come through the first sector. We're on lap 6, and we're already seeing corner cutting penalties being handed out. The big key for these drivers is going to be if they can keep it together through this middle sector here and back section of the track. And then when they run down the main straight, they just have to hold on to it and keep going. And that is going to be really what makes or breaks them on if they can hold on through the middle sector. You can see there a bit of chase being given, just not enough to make a pass happen there for Tazo and Ignas as they try as hard as they can to try to get a pass done here. Any of these drivers really want to try to get a pass going, and they're just not close enough to. Lap 8 starting here. I absolutely love this camera shot of the track. It is absolutely gorgeous here. And now as we watch lap 8 of 33 going, Mateusz 3-second time penalty. It's still Kashi, Tazo, Ignas, Buchik here in the front four. Graxent still 3.3 seconds back on Frantic, trying to chase him down. He's really going to be wishing for a safety car right about now. Jack is about 0.8 of a second back from Buchik, slowly gaining there as Buchik's soft tires start to die out here. And we'll keep our eyes on that as it goes, because I think Buchik is going to start feeling the pressure very soon. He's going to have to convert over to that two-stop strategy sooner or later, unless he is going to try to run these soft tires long and go for a one-stop, which is also an option for him. Check in with the Ferrari boys here, P8, P9. Fastest laps coming through. Tazo fastest lap that last time by, just barely faster than Kashi, so still holding on for those two to try to set things up. And now Mateusz dropping very far back there. Debe dropping back. Mateusz, Radoslav Kepa very far back here. And Mateusz into the pits at the moment, so Mateusz actually retiring out of the session. So we have lost a second driver here. That leaves us with 17 drivers running here in a grid that started as 19. Jack has already halved the gap to Buchik as well, so this is going to be a really interesting battle to watch here. And we'll see if Buchik waits to go through and fight Jack, or if he's going to pit and kind of give up that position and give it up and let the place go. I'm curious to see which way he decides. And there it is, Buchik feeling the pressure, pits in, and we'll see where the Ferrari driver decides to place his bets on tires. So it's into the pits. It's a very, very dark pit lane here in Portimao, which I absolutely hate, but it is going to be the hard compound tires going on for Buchik there. Now, Buchik came out in P15, so he's going to be watching that battle there. Tazo, 7/10 of a second back on Kashi. Ignas, 3/10 of a second back here on Tazo. So, Tazo, of course, getting that help of DRS from Kashi from being just close enough. And that's been just enough of a problem for Ignas to kind of hold him back. So, these three very, very competitive with their strategies here. And they're all very much holding on to each other. I'm sitting here trying to figure out what Ignas's best strategy is for getting around Tazo. And I don't know if he wants to undercut or overcut or try to fight this out on track. I'm not sure what the best option is here. And of course, I don't see a possibility of rain in the future either from the way the drivers are reacting with tires. Because Buchik went from soft to hard tires. I can't imagine he would do that if there was a chance for rain. And of course, a lot of drivers started on mediums, so I don't think they would do that if there was a chance for rain at some point. Ignas able to close that gap down to about 3/10 of a second. He needs Tazo to get out of touch with Kashi and lose the DRS that he's getting off of Kashi if he wants to try. If he wants to try really anything, he needs to get out of range there. He's almost far enough back. Tazo's just over a second behind now. But it's all about, is he still going to be a second behind at the detection point? Because through these final couple of corners, Kashi is kind of losing a little bit of speed there. And I think this time by it was just over a second there. So now that should give... it doesn't even matter because Tazo's into the pits here. Tazo, the first of our 3 leaders to go into the pits here. And let's see what Tazo opts to do here at the moment. And as he's in, it is going to be the hard compound tires going on for Tazo. And we'll see how far back that brings Tazo into the fray. As we have a yellow flag sector 3. That is going to be for Zero spinning, I believe. And this is very important for Tazo. Tazo does not come out ahead of Wasserschwein, and that is going to be very, very problematic for him, but he does come out ahead of Maverick just barely. And, more importantly, he is ahead of Buchik by a considerable 7-second margin. So now it's just Kashi against Ignas. And it's a matter of when are these two going to pull the trigger to pit. Ignas purple middle sector this lap. So I won't say that he's not pitting this time by. He could be pushing to pit. And Kashi will blink, go into the pits. Ignas stays out. I think this is a matter of do whatever he doesn't do. Ignas still able to eke out time and get the fastest lap there. Kashi into the pits. And it is also going to be the hard tires for Kashi. Marios is through. Frantic, Graxent, Baron all through. Look at this battle right here. Baron on Rolowski. Rolowski really wants to try to get by there and advance the position. Just not close enough to make that stick. But really, really fighting with Baron, making his day very difficult. Maku into the pits after spinning out there. Buchik's through. So Kashi comes up P8, and now it is just our race leader Ignas of those 4 that needs to go into the pits. Baron and Rolowski still battling out here side by side. as they come through the hairpin left-hander. Maku retires out in the pits. He has called his day done and dusted. Juro and Debe battling down the main straight here. Juro's able to get his way through. And Baran still holding off Orlowski by just enough that it counts. And then, of course, Graxent 0.3 of a second back on Frantic. Still trying to gain there. Plenty of time to be found. This battle right here, Graxent, Baran, Orlowski, very much heating up here. Ignas was into the pits that time by. He came out ahead of Kashi and Tazo, which is very, very important for Ignas. But Ignas and Kashi battling here as Ignas spins through the left-hander. Kashi's able to get by. Tazo is going to stick his nose in there side by side. Don't think there was any contact between those two, but Tazo really, really wants the place. So now Ignas is back behind Kashi. He had the overcut done, or the undercut done. Into the pits goes Wasserschwein. Into the pits goes Frantic. Graxent and Baran currently running P2, P3. Jack, P1 there. 15-lap old medium tires. Continue to watch here. Ignas, Kashi, Tazo. This three-way battle here is essentially your battle for the lead, even though Jack is up ahead by 8.7 seconds. They're still right in his pit window, so unless Jack can pull a little bit more time, which Jack now into the pits here. So we'll see where they come through. The Ferraris and Orlowski are coming through now. And as Jack hits his pit box, Marios is by, and now we'll see here. And it's by a long shot that he was off. He needed another 3 or 4 seconds there, Jack did. So Kashi, Ignas, Tazo still maintaining their places here. Continue to run through. They've got the two Ferraris and Orlowski in front in the Mercedes, and then Marios, and those are the 4 cars ahead of them. All 4 of them still need to pit. Of course, Bimolino, Gaucho, and Maverick and Debe also still need to pit. Radislav Kikpa had to pit early for wing damage, had to go onto a set of mediums, and then of course Juro just now pit for hards. And as we reach the halfway point of this race, Orlowski into the pits this time by, and now We'll see if Marios can pull the undercut there. Ignas fastest lap of the Grand Prix, continuing to try to catch up with Kashti. 1.2 seconds the gap there. Tazo, of course, 7/10 of a second back on Ignas. So this three-way battle here continuing to kind of push forward. Roloski onto a set of mediums to finish the Grand Prix now, and it's going to be really, really important for Roloski to try to hold on. And get those medium tires fired up and get them moving. That way he can run forward. Baran, of course, is going to stay behind his teammate Graxent. As for Graxent, Graxent is fighting for the Drivers' Championship. Baran doing very, very well to play the team role here. 6.9 seconds back is Marios here, and then a couple seconds back from him is Kashti. Of course, Marios, Baran, Graxent still need to pit. Interesting that they've stayed out so long on these hard tires. I wonder if they're going to try to run long and maybe run softs to the end. And I think our questions are about to be answered. Graxent into the pits this time by. And Graxent onto mediums to finish the GP. Interesting decision there from Graxent, and we'll see how that plays off. Most importantly, he did come out just a little bit less than a second ahead of Roloski, which is very, very important for him. His teammate, I am guessing Baran, will be in the pits this time by, and we'll see where Baran can land himself here. Roloski is going to be very, very hungry to try to get past Graxent. You can see he ran all the way off the track there. Interesting decision there from Roloski, but it looks like it worked out. Track limit's always a pain of this track, and you can see track limits playing a major part here in all of these battles. There are 7 drivers that have penalties currently for track limits, with one of them being Ignas, up in P4 at the moment. Really provisional P2. However, those penalties applied will knock him down a couple of places. And just to look, it's 3 seconds on Ignas, 6 seconds on Buchik, 3 seconds on Bimolino. And Baran is going to come out ahead of his teammate, who is under a lot of pressure by Roloski. And he's going to slot in. Very, very cheeky move there. And, oh! Did Baran just try to wreck Roloski? Surely that's not what just happened. That was a very, very weird move. Ignas is now ahead of Tazo as Kashti spins, coming through the middle sector. So Kashti dropping back several places here. And now it's going to be Ignas, Tazo, Kashti. Kashti did have a dominating run on this race. And now he's going to be 3.7 seconds back from Tazo. And he's going to have a lot of time to make up there. Ignas and Tazo managing to catch Marios here. Or Myros. And Myros still out on those hard compound tires, continuing to run his race. And you'll see here, side by side goes Ignas with Myros. And Ignas able to get past very easily. And this should help him out a bit in building a gap to Tazo, as Ignas does need a 3-second gap to the car behind in order to hold whatever place he finds himself in. Graxent, fastest lap of the Grand Prix, currently sitting in 7th place, so that will earn him a little bit of extra points there, and that's very important, especially if Ignas is on pace to win this at this time. And safety car has been deployed. I don't know why. Why was the safety car just deployed? Maybe the McLaren in the pits can answer this question. Well, they're not changing his front wing, but he reacted very quickly. All right, well, this changes everything. Ignas, Myros is going to get a very cheap pit stop here. All right, pit stops are cycling through here. And let's get a bearing on who's where. This is spicy. Look at this. Ignas P1, 7-lap old hards. Graxent will be in second place here. Once he catches up, but Graxent just got a lot of time back. Rolowski will find himself in P3. So, this should be very, very interesting. I hope everyone has held on here through the race, because this is where things are going to get very, very fun. Radoslav Kepa has retired from the session, so we are now down to 14 drivers running through, and we're, of course, still waiting on the pack to catch up here. So, I'm glad I didn't make predictions. Well, technically I did. I said it was between Ignas and Graxent, and look who's P1, P2 at the moment. But this is going to be a very, very fun finish to the race. So I hope everyone sticks around, gets something to drink. If you're me, I'm drinking a sugar-free Red Bull. That does not mean that I am a Red Bull fangirl. I just really like Red Bull. I need a little pick-me-up, too. I slept in a hotel last night. I went to a concert last night, went to bed around 1 a.m., woke up at about 7:30 this morning, drove all the way back, and got here about 30 minutes before the race was supposed to start, which, of course, for those of you unfamiliar, I am in the U.S., so the race for me is at 2 p.m. Eastern, so this is my afternoon and your evening, if you're watching from the European side of the world. Of course, while this safety car is running, I do want to always mention you can do exclamation Discord in the chat to join the Discord. If you want to subscribe to the YouTube, do exclamation YouTube. Check out all of our socials and be sure to get connected with us here at FRL, as that is how you can keep track on all of the future updates, such as FRL turning to pole position racing at the end of the season. I talk about it every stream because it's a very, very important thing, is that rebranding will happen during the off season. I don't want you to think that you've lost us during the off season and say, oh, well, you know, where's FRL? What happened to the league? And the league's still around. It's just going to be a new name. So make sure you keep tabs on all of that. After today, there will be 3 more Sundays of racing for this Season 8, and then it will be a bit of downtime with the rebranding, getting reset up, and then F123 action will be coming. Of course, F123 release date is not that far away. I know for me, F123 is already preloaded on my computer. So, of course, June 16th is going to be the release date for F123. That is this Friday. However, just remember that our races here for the rest of this season will be on F122, and we will not transition to F123 until next season. Safety car in this lap, you can see Ignas playing a little bit of games here with Graxent, trying to get things going here. We have about 9 laps to go. We'll have 8 laps to go at the line. Let's see here. Is it going to be Ignas, Graxent, Roloski? Will Frantic mix things up? Can Baran find his way onto the podium with his teammate? Or will Tazo and Kashi move forward and it'll be none of these guys? Tazo, of course, is on the soft tires, and that could be interesting to watch here through the end. Look how close Graxent is staying to Ignas. If Ignas even touches his brakes, it's going to be a bad day for both of these drivers. That little bit of a weave. Graxent doing the Kimi Räikkönen strategy. Staying straight, close, and here we go. 8 laps to go this time by, and that is going to be Ignas, Graxent, Roloski, P1, 2, 3. Frantic there, Baran, P5. That is going to be Tazo going very, very wide there against Kashi. Kashi up the inside. Almost contact, and that is going to be Tazo who spins through. Debe spins as a result of that as well. And now Kashi trying to chase down Frantic here up the inside. Baran now, it's Mercedes, Ferrari, and then Williams, Red Bull, Williams, Red Bull. There we go. Kashi's around Frantic here. Jack and Buchik battling it out here. And which one of the Williams, Red Bull combos are going to come out ahead? And it looks like we're making a Red Bull sandwich with Williams as the crust, or Williams as the filling. And now as we go through, the Williams drivers are battling side by side here through the middle sector. You can see Frantic backs out of it, gives Jack the place. That is going to open things up for Buchik, though. Buchik is going to be up the inside, around. And Buchik is maybe in place there. And there we go. Frantic down to P8. So it's Red Bull Williams, Red Bull Williams. There's an Aston Martin. Mario's trying to get his nose in the mix. And up the inside goes Myros. And Frantic will hold the position around the outside. Check back in with our race leaders here as we come down to 7 to go. There we go. I can do math. And Ignas to Graxent to Roloski to Baran. Mercedes, Ferrari. Who is going to bring it home today? Ignas and Roloski are both carrying penalties. 3 seconds apiece. But, of course, if you look, it is up 16 places for Roloski, Graxent, Baran up 14 places each. So, regardless of what they do, it's going to be a very, very good time for them. Bimblino Gaucho retiring out of the session now. So, we're down to 13 runners finishing, and only one of them, or maybe 2 of them, due to a wreck. Look at this, the gap, 0.8 of a second between Ignas and Graxent. DRS should be enabled this time by, but of course they will not get it until they come out of turn 4. So down the main straight, it's still all about pace. Roloski, 0.8 of a second back on Graxent, and Baran, 0.8 of a second back there. Kashi, though, right up the inside, trying to put some pressure on Baran here. Look at this. Kashi is going to have a little bit of a run. He's just a little too far back, though, to try to make a pass happen. So he's going to sit back and stay out of it. We're lap 27 of 33 here. Tazo fighting with Frantic. Tazo finds his way back up into P9 here, holding on to it. Yellow flag in the first sector. That is Maverick, who has spun. Debe significantly back on the pack. Down in P12 there. As we go through, I'm continuing to watch and see if any of these drivers catch up to each other. It's a little bit of overcast starting to show up as well, but I don't think that is going to affect our race any. I think it's just getting a little cloudy. I don't anticipate seeing any raindrops from what I can tell at the moment, but I've been wrong with that before. Graxent just outside of a second there of Ignas. I don't think he was within a second at the detection line. And he was not, and that is going to open things up as Roloski will be able to have a great run with DRS down this main straight, and he's able to close it in within 0.3 of a second there. Baran just outside of a second as well on Roloski. Kashi half a second back, and then Jack even in the mix. I do want to make a quick note that Graxent is driving right now, and it is 31 degrees Celsius at his house. So that is a very, very warm drive there for Graxent. He probably feels like he's a real F1 driver right now with how warm it is for him. So you factor that in, and this is a mega drive that Graxent has put together. And here we go. Roloski trying to have a run down the main straight on Graxent. You can see the light on the back of Graxent's car blinking. That means he's harvesting battery, and Roloski just not able to get close enough there to Graxent again. And now Baran picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. I think Graxent knows that he's just got to stay within 3 seconds of Ignas, so he's really not pushing himself too hard, which is probably a very, very good decision from him. Yellow flag sector 2, that is going to be Debe that has spun their middle sector. Maverick pitting in for a set of softs. Looks like he's going to try to grab the fastest lap. It won't result in any points for him because he's outside of the top 10, but good effort nonetheless. Here we go. Graxent really going to have to battle with Roloski here through these final 3 or 4 laps. He's going to have to do a lot to kind of hold that position in. Still, either way, it's a mega drive from Graxent there. Jack, Kashi dropping back several places there. Kashi spinning out of the final corner, it looks like. Able to get back going with no issues. Roloski a lot closer this time by. Still not close enough to make that pass happen. But a lot more pressure being put on Graxent this time by. And Graxent has to hold on to this for 3 more laps. So you can see it's cloudier still. That is Baran running extremely wide out of turn 3 or turn 4 there. He's trying a lot to try to catch up to Roloski here. You can see it's worked there. Now the Mercedes is in the middle of a Ferrari sandwich. Gap already opened up to about 0.6 of a second as we go through the middle sector here. That seems to be where Graxent's been able to pull out the most time, but Ignas overall still just moving through. Very, very clean runs for him. And now we'll jump on board with Roloski here. See if Roloski is able to chase down Graxent down the DRS straight here. You can see Graxent is harvesting that battery, holding out, and now here we go. DRS open. You can see overtake enabled down there for Rolowski if you look at the steering wheel. And here we go. He's pushing 2/10 of a second is all he's able to close it down to. Just not enough in order to get things done. Ignas 16 lap old hards up in the lead. Everyone else here is on similar paced mediums. So we will ride this out through the end of the race. 2 laps to go here. And now Baran, a little bit of a tap there on Rolowski, and Baran gets a little bit loose. That's going to cost him very much so, especially with that hungry Williams of Jack right behind. And then they have Buchek about 2 seconds back behind them. Graxent gap now 2.1 seconds there on Ignas. He needs to hold on to that extra second of time because he needs to be able to beat Ignas through if he wants to try to flip the Drivers' Championship around and find himself in the lead of the Drivers' Championship at the end of this race. Pending any investigations, of course. And now Rolowski here, P3 coming through. He's got the gap a little bit closer this time, half a second now the gap as they run through the final corner into the main straight here. We're starting lap 32. You can see a little bit of weaving from Graxent here, trying to play it smart, be defensive. And now that is going to open up, and Rolowski with the help of DRS right up the inside. Graxent is going to have to fight very, very hard in order to get this pass done. And find himself way back up in. Baran, of course, right behind him there. And this could be all she wrote here for Graxent's chance at winning today. Rolowski up in P2 here. It's a little bit of chaos back behind. Look at this, Baran and Jack getting a little bit preoccupied with each other here. And now Jack is going to be through on Baran. Jack might find himself up on a podium place too, depending on how things kind of play out here with Rolowski. Baran spins out and is able to keep it together. That was a big snap that I could see, but he was able to hold on to it. And now Rolowski needs to just set off and build a gap on Graxent and Jack as much as he can through these final 2 laps. And now, as we start the final lap here, Ignas 3 seconds up on his teammate Rolowski. Very, very important to see here for him as he needs to maintain that and keep forward here. And I think Rolowski might be trying to give him a little bit of space as well to go through. Graxent, of course, carrying the fastest lap at this moment. And Graxent will not be able to catch up. Kashti and Tazo battling out hard, and Tazo spinning there at the turn 4, running down the hill to the hairpin. That is going to be very, very unfortunate for Tazo. But as we continue through, Debe and Maverick are just now starting their final lap. But for Ignas, it will be all she wrote here in just a few corners. A very, very dominating performance from the Mercedes driver. Very, very dominating performance from him all season long. Tazo will be marking in another thing. Fastest lap of the Grand Prix goes to Debe right at the end. Ignas, of course, this will be his 2nd win, his 5th podium here this season. And as Ignas rounds the final corner, 3.2 seconds is the gap. That's all he needs on Rolowski. He crosses the line, takes the win here in round 8 of season 8. Rolowski will come across P2. He'll drop back to P4. We'll have Graxent and Jack on the podium, P2, P3. Very, very strong performances from Graxent, from finishing, coming up 14 places. And of course, Jack started up in P3, finishing P3 after somewhat of a wild ride there. And now we just wait on these final drivers to come across the line. Very, very good race. It looked like for most of the race it was going to be Kashti, Tazo, and Ignas. And then that safety car just kind of mixed everything up and gave it Ignas, Graxent, Rolowski. But unfortunately with penalties, Rolowski finds himself outside of the podium And that puts Jack into P3, which is a very, very good position to be in. So we're still waiting here on Maverick to finish up the race. He's coming around the final corner. We'll get our podium ceremony, and then it will be time for some interviews with our winning drivers. Lots of penalties applied throughout this race, but in the end, Ignas was able to pull out just enough of a gap to hold on to it. So everybody stick around for just a minute. We'll get these interviews going. All right, let's get these interviews on the road here, and starting with our third place driver, Jack. That was a hard fought race for you. For a little bit there, the strategy seemed kind of mixed up all the way through the grid. What was your race strategy, and kind of did you expect to find yourself up towards the front, or did that safety car kind of help you a little bit?
I didn't expect to be at the front. I only had half-hour practice in Portugal, and but I think in qualifying, well past my expectations, and then in the race, my main goal was stick with a train. But obviously, Buchek was on the softs, and because they died down pretty fast, he dropped out of the train, which which didn't help my race. But that safety car definitely helped.
Yeah, the safety car definitely mixed things up all the way through the field. Kind of looking your last three races, you had a DNF and then two didn't starts. 3 races left in the season. Are you planning on starting the rest of them, or what are you thinking for the rest of the season?
I guess time will tell. It's I don't have like passion to play F1, but when it comes to Sundays, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'll race. But it's like sometimes Sundays I would have plans.
Get
So
that get that completely. Well, it's always good to see you, Jack, and congrats on a third podium this season.
thank you. All right, bye bye.
Bye bye. All right, let's pull up our number 2 driver. Graxent, welcome.
Welcome, hello.
Hello, hello. Nice to see you back on the podium. I'm getting used to talking to you on Sundays.
Yeah, today was a little bit difficult for myself. I make it for myself very, very difficult. It's achievable again.
Yeah, talk to me about qualifying. What happened to you in qualifying there? I noticed
Uh,
that you didn't even really get a lap in.
no, I think I put the wet tires on when everyone was on the inters. I just think it was wet, but then I pushed a lap and I just crashed in the ball. So it's important.
Well, very, very good run through. Getting 14 places up to find yourself on the podium. You really didn't come into the mix though for the podium, from what I could tell, up until that safety car. Until the safety car, it seemed like you were going to finish maybe more like P5, P6, which still would have been a good result. Did that safety car just kind of help you out a lot?
Yeah, of course. The safety car just helped me to achieve a podium. I mean, I was on a flying on this race, but without the safety car, I was just P5, P6. But still, good result after qualifying was so bad. So I'm really happy with this luck that I have now.
Absolutely. Big battle right now is, of course, you and Ignis battling out for P1 and P2 in the Drivers' Championship. You're both within 5 points of each other, and it's going to be just as close after this race. 3 races to go this season, Graxent. What's your strategy for beating Ignis and trying to get that Drivers' Championship at the end of the season?
Ignis is fast. Ignis is a good driver. I really think he can win this also. He showed today a really strong pace, also on the hard tire at the end. So you're doing a good job, but I'm trying just to push and overtake him. But it's gonna be difficult, but I try my best. So
Absolutely. Final question for you. How warm is it for you right now?
I don't know, man. I'm really hot now. I think outside is 31. I think here's 40 or something. I don't know.
Oh,
But when the safety car come out, I will put in IE mode and go grab some water because
I
I'm dead
don't.
here, man. Oh.
I don't blame you a bit. Well, Graxent, congrats on another podium. I'm sure I'll see you again on the podium before the end of the season. So go cool off, take a break.
Yes, thank you, man. Thank you.
All right, see ya.
See you.
And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, I'm getting very, very used to talking about Ignas. So let's hear from Ignas for the 5th time this season and his 2nd top step of the podium. Ignas, hello.
Hello.
Congrats on another win. 2nd win this season, 5th time on the podium. How's it feel?
Feels amazing.
Are you starting to get used to this a little bit?
Kinda.
So a little bit for you. You were always in the mix up front from the beginning, but things mixed up around the safety car. So it was originally you, Cashty, and Tazo that were battling for pretty much the entire first half of the race before the safety car. Kind of talk to me a little bit about that, because it seemed like you were just kind of in the middle of Cashty and Tazo the whole time. Were you kind of just stuck with DRS, or just kind of holding your time, trying to hold on to pace?
I was stuck. Like it was very difficult to pass because Kashti was fast, and I also thought about defending Tazo because he was also quick. So yeah, it was I was defending and I was trying to push at the same time, but yeah, it was very difficult because Kashti had very very good pace. I
Yeah,
tried to get that P1.
it was a lot of fun to watch. I know after you did a green flag pit stop around lap 17, I think it was, maybe. And when you came out, I think you were ahead of Cashty there for about half a lap. And then I think he just passed you, I would guess, due to cold tires. Does that sound right?
Yes, I did a mistake. I almost spun there. Like I don't know what the turn is. Just after sector 1, the first turn. I was pushing too much and I was there. Yeah, he passed me easily. Almost as well passed me.
Yeah, it was. We saw it on stream. It was a really, really close battle. And then after the safety car, it ended up being you, Graxent, and Rolowski battling for a while. Of course, Rolowski running as your teammate for this race. Kind of, what was there any strategy with you and Rolowski? Because I know near the end of the race, he was able to get past Graxent, but then you got that 3-second gap on him. So was that planned, or did he just kind of back up a little bit to give you the win?
No, that wasn't planned. We didn't plan anything. He just passed Graxent, and when I saw that, I got super happy because Graxent was 2 points, yeah, seconds behind, and he would have a win now. But I think that Rolowski had a better pace than Graxent and passed him. But as I said, it wasn't planned, so I got I'm very happy. I thanked Rolowski for that. He got a little confused why am I thanking him, but I told him all situation, and yeah, he's amazing. He's a legend.
Absolutely. Big legend here in the league. So, Ignas, 3 races left to go this season, and you are currently in the lead of the Drivers' Championship. Do you think you're going to hold on to it for the rest of the season? Any sort of strategy in mind for holding on and finishing out this season with a win?
I hope that I will be able to hold on. I don't have any plans. Like the plan is just to push as hard as I do now, and yeah, hope for the best. Hope for a luck.
Well, if the trends and the records are anything to look at, I think you're doing everything right, and I have a strong feeling that unless something goes horribly wrong, you're going to find yourself in a very good position. Canada's next, then China and Bahrain, of course, to finish up the season. So just a few weeks left in it's a very, very close battle.
It is, yeah, very, very close. I didn't expect actually that Graxent will be so close. I actually got to know now only that he's 5 points behind. So I'm pretty scared right now.
Yeah,
So
it's gonna
I gotta push more than that.
It's going to be a very close battle to the end of the season. Of course, 3 races left to figure it out and see between you, Graxent, and even Tazo's in the mix a little bit as well, and could find himself up there just depending on how the rest of the season goes. So, best of luck to you for the rest of the season, Ignas. I'm sure we'll talk again before the end of the season, and you'll find yourself another podium.
Yeah, I really hope so. Goodbye.
Have a good night, Ignas.
You too.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so that is going to be where I round out this race here of the Portuguese Grand Prix of Season 8 and Round 8. Next up, as I mentioned, is going to be the infamous Canada. I think the Wall of Champions might claim a champion here in FRL. And then from there, it is China and Bahrain to finish out F122 here in FRL. And then we move on to a new era. New game, new names. However, one thing will remain the same. Competitive, friendly racing with lots of fun. If you want to join us, always check out the socials and jump on everything below. And as always, my name is Brad. On behalf of Syntax, who's not here, we will see you in a week's time. And then usually you have Syntax in the background. Bye! And it looks like Noda is going to be your winner of this Portuguese Grand Prix. Is your champion. JJ splits the middle, gets past both drivers.